Have you ever felt like you have no choice but to go along with what someone else wants? Have you ever noticed that when you use your GPS navigation, it suggests alternative routes, even that it knows the shortest path? And now you might wonder how these two questions are connected. And the reason is simple. Even a GPS system that knows the most efficient route still offers you choices. Manipulation happens when someone limits those choices, those options for you, forcing you to choose the route they've already pre-selected. In this video, we'll dive into we'll dive into all manipulation techniques. But here is a quick warning. Once you learn about these techniques, your brain will start noticing them everywhere. And keep in mind, of course, there are some people that use manipulation intentionally, most do it unconsciously. And not to harm you, but it's an attempt to protect themselves, to avoid certain uncomfortable feelings. Understanding manipulation will help you stay true to yourself and even start important conversations to ignite the change. Sometimes simply calling out the behavior is enough so that the other person can realize what they're doing, and that awareness alone can start change. And before we start, make sure to hit that like button. That is so important, especially for small channels like this one. The list is pretty long, but in the end, I will give you one simple question that you can ask yourself to break free from manipulation, no matter what particular technique is used. And the first one manipulation technique is guilt manipulation, and it occurs when someone uses your feelings of guilt to pressure you into doing what they want. Manipulator might bring up past mistakes, failures, supposed debts to trigger a sense of obligation to make things right. For example, they might say, "You know how bad that will make me feel if you don't do this," or "After everything that I've done for you, you cannot say no to me." These statements make you feel responsible, which may lead you to do what they want, even if you don't actually want to. Just like any other emotion, guilt can be authentic and can be neurotic or defensive. And neurotic guilt is when you feel responsible for another person's feelings or outcomes in their life. This type of guilt is always a sign of fusion with another person, which makes it impossible to establish healthy boundaries. Even if you choose to do what the other person asks to avoid their anger or frustration, you are doing a huge disservice to the relationship as a whole. Because the goal is not to satisfy one partner's needs, but to do what's the best for the relationship as a whole. And guilt is a complex feeling to understand, even more complex to experience. If you are interested in learning more, I'm going to leave a link to my post on Telegram channel where I dive deeper into what truly lies beneath guilt. And spoiler alert, sometimes guilt can be even a protective mechanism. And the next manipulation technique is gaslighting. So gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where someone makes you doubt your perception of reality, your memory, or your sanity. Imagine someone constantly telling you that your memories are incorrect or that you are exaggerating a situation, even when you are sure you're right. Over time, you may begin to question yourself and your ability to judge what's happening. And here are the common signs of gaslighting. So it's a denial of facts. The manipulator insists something did not happen, even though you are certain it did. Reality distortion. They convince you that you misunderstood or that you misperceived something. The next sign of gaslighting is downplaying your feelings. Your emotions and concerns are dismissed as exaggerated or unreasonable. Repetition. It's when they repeat false statements, until you begin to believe them. All of these manipulation techniques are rough and they are unfortunately common. And I have a very special task for you that will make you look at it at such a different angle, and it will give you so many insights. As we are going through these techniques of manipulation, please check what of them you use on yourself, because there is such a thing as self manipulation. And others always mirror how we treat ourselves. And please write which of this technique you use on yourself in the comment section. So the next manipulation technique is ignoring. Ignoring is when somebody deliberately avoids responding to you or your words to achieve their goal. This tactic can demonstrate to others that the manipulator has control over the situation. You may try to discuss something important, but the person does not respond or pretends not to hear you, leaving you feeling insignificant and questioning your actions. And key signs of ignoring, obviously not answering messages, not answering calls, silence in response to important questions or comments, pretending not to notice you even when you are there. The next manipulation technique is love bombing. Love bombing is a tactic where someone overwhelms you with excessive attention, affection, and care to win your trust and attachment. And this might look like constant compliments, gifts, messages, and a desire to spend a lot of time with you. However, after they've gained your trust, they may begin to control you and impose conditions. So signs of love bombing can include rapid development of the relationship, proposals for living together or making future plans early in the relationship. And once attached, the manipulator then can become controlling or start showing jealousy. The next manipulation technique is isolation, and isolation happens when someone tries to distance you from your friends, family, and other supportive people to gain full control over you. And the signs of isolations are criticizing your loved ones, creating conflicts between you and others, control over your time and communication, leading to gradual separation from friends and family. The next manipulation technique is playing the victim. And playing the victim is when someone constantly portrays themselves as hurt, suffering, unfairly treated to make you feel guilty. They may complain about their life and say that everyone treats them badly, but they do not show any signs of willing to change the situation. All of this that make you start feeling a sense of awkwardness and a need to take responsibility for their situation. The next manipulation technique is ghosting. And ghosting occurs when someone suddenly and without explanation stops communicating with you. They disappear, stop answering calls or messages, and avoid any contact. This leaves you feeling confused, uncertain, and wondering what went wrong. Ghosting is pretty rough. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and a sense of isolation. The next manipulation technique is shaming. This includes any kind of shaming. It's a body shaming, age shaming, and shaming is such a rough feeling. And the psychological consequences of shaming can be devastating, often leading to feelings of depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. The next manipulation technique is triangulation. Triangulation is a manipulation tactic where the manipulator involves a third person to create conflict, division, or jealousy. In simple terms, they use someone else to influence your feelings and actions. Signs of triangulation: comparison. The manipulator starts comparing you to someone else to make you feel insecure or jealous. Hidden alliances, when they secretly make arrangements or maintain contact with a third party without informing you. Creating conflict when they tell one person one thing and another person something else, causing disagreements and conflicts between them. Triangulation gives the manipulator the sense of power, control, and some sort of emotional support. And the next manipulation technique is mocking. And this tactic uses mockery, sarcasm, demeaning comments to make the other person feel foolish, insecure, or unworthy. It's meant to throw them off balance, making them defensive or simply to get the last word and end the conversation. The next manipulation technique is sometimes really hard to identify. It's projection. Projection is when someone attributes their own negative feelings, thoughts, or actions to others. Manipulator accuses you of something they are doing or feeling to avoid responsibility and make you feel guilty or defensive. For example, you notice that your colleague is often late for work, but one day when you are slightly late, they accuse you of always being late and creating problems for the team. In reality, it's them who's frequently late, but they project their behavior onto you to avoid criticism. The next manipulation technique is emotional blackmail. It is when someone threatens you with emotional consequences, such as ending the relationship or showing disappointment if you don't comply with their demands. For example, your partner might say, if you don't answer the phone when I call, I'm going to break up with you. Or your mother might say, you didn't pick up the phone and now I had a panic attack because I thought something happened to you. The manipulator always justifies their behavior with love and concern. Moving the goalposts is the next manipulation technique. This is when the manipulator constantly changes their demands or goals so that you can never meet them and always feel like you're falling short. Now, for example, your partner says they will be happy if you spend more time with them, so you adjust your schedule. Then they ask you to change your appearance, making you feel inadequate despite your efforts. Changing the subject. This tactic involves deliberately shifting the conversation to avoid discussing uncomfortable or unpleasant topics. The manipulator distracts you, making you forget or stop insisting on the original subject. For example, you are discussing your family's budget with your husband and point out his unnecessary expenses. He suddenly starts talking about how the kids are doing poorly in school, which just distracts you from the main goal of the conversation. The next manipulation technique is devaluation. Devaluation is when someone belittles your achievements, feelings, opinions, or experiences to make you feel insignificant and insecure. This technique allows the manipulator to gain control over you by making you doubt yourself and your abilities. For example, when you share your concern to a friend about a difficult situation and the friend says, well, you're always overreacting, it's not that big of a deal. This undermines your self-esteem and confidence and might make you feel dependent on them. So, and this is the complete list of manipulation techniques. And if this list feels overwhelming, you need to remember just one thing. There is no such thing as having no choice. Any person who tries to narrow down your options just to one choice is manipulating you. And sometimes they do this with the best of intentions. For example, advice in the sense also can be manipulative because it often limits your options to just one, especially when you take it without questioning. That's why you must continue reclaiming your ability to choose. Always ask yourself, what other options do I have? And what is the real problem that we are trying to solve here? We learn better by writing things down. So grab a piece of paper or write down in the comment section below. I always have at least 3 choices. And share how you can implement this in your life today. This phrase alone will always allow you to stay free from manipulation. If you want a more step-by-step guide on how to respond to manipulation, the link is below. And if you still didn't quite find the answer in this video for why you are not satisfied in your relationship, in my next video, I'm going to discuss 7 signs of being used in a relationship and what to do about it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it.